Will he or won't he? Yes, that's the question. Welcome all in to the Hawk Report. What a show we've got for you planned today. As always, the usual tricks and treats, the laughs, the team fun, everything. Glad you guys could make it. I am Laptop Hound, streaming throughout the week. If you're coming over from watching the new Call of Duty Warzone, or maybe you're playing watching some Elf that never seems to end on Twitch. Who knows what you've been doing? Or maybe you came over from OOTP and you were watching some cards being released today. Yes, a lot of great cards, a lot of familiar players. We're going to get all into that. Again, thank you guys for coming over. Sean, Saul, thank you for dropping the 9-monther, Sean. Sean, it's a boy. And his name is Larry from Colorado. OOTP Developments, thank you for raiding on in. Good to see you dishing it back. Hope you had a wonderful experience in North Carolina. And good to see that you're back on the Friday Showdown tomorrow. Get your teams entered in. It's going to fill up quick. Get entered into that if it's not full already. I'm sure there'll be some fun times to be had. And the Las Vegas gamblers will be hopefully in contention. Last week, Tetsuiji went, I think, all the way up to the semifinals. And the week before that, we had GT Sundown win the whole thing. So we've had some good showdowns over the last couple of weeks. All right, let's get on to it. Again, we will do some giveaways throughout the stream. So stay tuned for that. Some packs to be given away, or maybe you can follow Willie Mays, maybe Larry Walker, or maybe you want that 80 second base shortstop. The great defense today. Again, good to see you guys here. Hope you're prepared for a wonderful weekend ahead. Going to be 11 degrees Celsius tomorrow. So thankfully, we get a little bit more warm weather before everything cools off. All right. Yes, packs to be given away. We got a bounty. We got some trivia. The winner, the loser of the trivia will get some packs and some other things along the way too. Well, let's get to it. Again, over the last couple of weeks, we've had a special fill-in. We had Izadafo come in and fill the big shoes of Charles of Warbot, who had to fill the big shoes of your kidneys for a few weeks. And guess who is back from his American tour? Yes, back in the hot seat, we have Charles. Charles, again, welcome back in, Charles. Glad to have you back. How are you doing, buddy? Charles, you're muted. I can't hear you. How are you doing, buddy? How are you doing? What? Again? Charles, did you stand me up again? Well, I don't know. Let's see if I can fix this. Let's see if we can get something else going here. Oh, there we go. Charles, the real Charles, out in space. How are you doing?
Not bad. Finally got the background to work at least. I can almost log in. It's going to work eventually.
You can almost log in. Well, I see someone in chat say my audio is cutting in and out. Can anyone either confirm or deny that? Because I can just unplug and plug.
I think it's been cutting a little in and out for me, but I wasn't sure if that was on my end.
All right. Let me do the quick. And the quick plug back in. Are we having any more success now? Any better? Testing one.
Sounds better so far.
Okay. Sounding better. Okay, let's hear from the chat. The chatter.
These are the streams I remember, that every stream traditionally starts with like fixing tech issues, right?
Well, when you're on, I had no issues with Izadafo, Charles. I don't know. Are you bringing the tech gremlins? Is that what the issue is? You're bringing.
I think so. I just every stream I'm on always starts with some kind of tech problem. It's just traditional at this point. So
well, Charles, I've got a special sound to introduce you. You know how players have walk-up songs? I don't know what your walk-up song would be, but how about this for a Charles walk-up song? How about this?
Nice, because we don't get to hear that very often. So I
So
got I
there you
gotta
go.
ask you. I gotta ask you. If you were like coming out to pitch, what would be your entrance music?
I'll get back to you later in the show. I don't know if I need to represent Canada and have a Canadian song, by greats like Nickelback or Brian Adams or Rush, maybe some Geddy Lee,
Think of those, I'd
but
go with Rush. I think.
maybe some Van Halen. Van Halen pumps you up pretty good. So yeah, I'd have to think about that. But I thought, you know what, like you said, you don't hear it very often. The Philadelphia
Not this
Flyers
year.
goal song. And again, for those unfamiliar with Charles and his hockey background, he is a Philadelphia Flyers fan, and we rubbed it in with him pretty good about a week and
Look,
a
look,
half
look.
ago.
We all have our failings.
Well, some of us have more than others, yes, absolutely. But the San Jose Sharks won their first game of the season. Pop Stongoria cracked the champagne as the Sharks beat the Flyers in their 12th game. They were like 0-11, and they finally won a game, and it was against the Philadelphia Flyers. But in all honesty, in all
But
transparency,
then did you see their next game?
yeah. Next game, they played my Edmonton Oilers, and they beat the Edmonton Oilers 3-2. So, Charles, our teams did not have much success, but
No. I think there's a clear conclusion here, which is the Sharks are the best team in the NHL.
that's true. That's true. Well, at least for a period of 48 hours, because they kind of went back in the tank. And Charles, as Janet Jackson said, what have you done for me lately? Well,
Yep.
what have you done for me lately? Last night, your Philadelphia Flyers beat one of the best teams in the league, Carolina, on the road, 3-1. And my Edmonton Oilers played Seattle last night. And look at the score. It's 3-1 for Seattle with 6.5 minutes left in the game. And a guy named Evander Kane, you might have heard of him, he scores a goal to bring it within one. And a goalie pulled situation, they tie it up. And then in overtime, here we go. Hyman to Bouchard, back to Hyman, over to Kane, and a natural hat trick. And the Edmonton Oilers come back with 6 minutes. They score 3 goals, the overtime winner. And yeah, so you know what? We did
That's a
have a
nice
little.
pass too.
It was. It was.
Uh,
That's the Edmonton Oilers I'm used to. Rigged. No, 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 no. It was rigged. It was bringing in a new coach bounce that tends to happen. You bring in a new manager, a new coach, and the wins start to come for a period of time.
Well, that's better because we had a coach that after we got off to a good start, literally went and hold a press conference and told the fans, look, the team stinks, just don't get excited.
Well, you got John Tortorella. I admire John Tortorella. In front of the media, he comes off very nasty sometimes, but I think he is a player's coach. I think he's a coach that people love to play for. But like most coaches that have a short shelf life, usually 3-4 years, and then players start to tune out the coach a little bit. Some of them, but
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see. We'll see where this season goes. So welcome in. This is the Hawk Report 34, calling it the MVP episode because we have a lot of MVP cards, Charles, including Sean Sultan's Larry Walker, and we have the Larry Walker emote there from Sean Sul. And yeah, some other ones to talk about as well. So on your trip, I have to ask you, you come back from America. Did you bring back any souvenirs? Anything that you brought back to Denmark?
Yeah. Okay. So I there's a bit of a story behind this actually, because we were talking
Charles,
about
just wait,
this.
Charles.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a giant here. Is there any way to tilt your camera just a little bit? There we
That's
go.
my
I feel like Austin Powers and Mini
that worked
Me,
better.
next to me. Okay, there we go.
Problem with the
All
new,
right.
so I was thinking, what I should do is get like a Flyers hat for wearing on stream, the way you've got all the Oilers stuff. And I was in Philadelphia, so I figured this would actually be an easy thing to do, right? Turns out it's not. Uh, so let's see. The first place I went to, I think I sent you that sign actually, didn't I? They had a
Yes.
great sign up that just let me see if I can find exactly where it is. I think I sent it to you also, didn't I?
Yeah. You
They had
you
a
keep
great
talking
sign
up.
up that basically said, like the Eagles are 8-1. What is baseball anyway? No mention of the Flyers. Easy to get Eagles stuff though. Tried a couple of the stores there. They had Eagles stuff. They had Phillies stuff. I actually had one that was willing to sell an Expos hat, but no Flyers hat. I had another place which said, well, you want something that has the right colors. Um, yeah, you want something that has the right colors. Here, show the other one that they tried to sell me. They said, oh, just do this instead. It's good enough. Do you have the other?
Um. Oh yeah. Okay, let me find that one here. This one here.
They said they said this is good enough. It's got the right colors for a Flyers hat.
What the heck is that? Astros?
That that is an Astros hat, which was on deep discount.
There's so many jokes I could throw in there, but so they actually tried to sell you this as a Flyers hat.
Well, they said it's at least got the right colors.
And this one here,
However,
that
yeah, yep,
Eagles, Philadelphia Phillies. I don't see any Flyers hats there, Charles.
nothing whatsoever. Uh,
But you're in Walmart here, aren't you? I can see the Walmart
that one's a
signs.
Walmart. That one's a Walmart. Yeah.
Like, can't you go to like a lids or something like that?
Yeah,
Like
we did.
some.
That's the one that had the old style Expos hat,
Oh,
but
okay.
no Flyer stuff. However, I
That's some.
did finally find a different hometown place called Rally House. That has a lot of stuff, including so I do in fact have a Flyers hat, not a cap, but you know here we go. I've got my Flyers stuff for the stream. It only took about 5 tries.
You like they do in the stands. Yay,
Yeah.
cool.
Is it a toque? I don't think this is really a toque, right? Doesn't a toque have more of, like a beanie on top or something?
Sorry, I was drowned out by the Flyers goal song. What was that?
Oh no, so Spore was asking if this is a toque, and I don't think this is a toque, right? Because doesn't a toque usually have something on top?
In Canada, it's always a toque. We don't say beanie. We don't say a lid. We don't say a head covering. We say toque. With the little ball or not the little ball, it's a
It's
toque.
still a toque. Okay, it's still a toque. All right, then
Yes.
I got a toque. Okay, I see.
Okay.
I see. Chat was asking how you end up a Red Sox and Flyers fan. Um, okay, so the deal is, I was born in Boston. Okay, I only lived there like 6 months and then moved to Philly. But if you're born in Boston, it's just on the books. You have to be a Sox and Celtics fan. It's just, you know, it's in the laws somewhere. So that's kind of what happened. And then,
So
moved to
you
Philadelphia, and the other teams they didn't really care about, like the Patriots. I know it's more of a thing now, but at the time, I mean, there was a point that, they just sort of gave up and told the Patriots to go move to Hartford, but like Hartford wouldn't take them. So they ended up, staying in Massachusetts. Um, so then you moved to Philadelphia, and Philadelphia is much more like an Eagles and Flyers town. And you could sort of like the Phillies also, because this was before interleague play. So the Phillies were always awful. The Red Sox were always like second best to the Yankees or awful. So they were never going to play in a meaningful game. So you could kind of like both a little bit, but I was much more a Red Sox fan.
Yeah, I'm disappointed that you're not a Bruins fan like FKN Commission myself. That Bruins are my favorite American team. Um, how did you not become a Bruins fan?
I think just if you grow up in Philly, the Flyers are just sort of a Philly kind of team,
So
for
who's your
better or for
favorite
worse. And I think many people would say for worse, but it's a very Philly kind of team.
and who's your favorite NFL team?
The Eagles, same thing. That's I mean, Philly fans are unique. You've probably heard some of the stories about them, right?
Wow, yeah, I've heard that it's probably dangerous to wear an opposing jersey into their stadium.
Well, there depends on which stadium, but yeah, there's a reason that we used to have a jail inside. Well, we do have a jail inside, the Eagle Stadium.
A jail. Are you serious?
Yeah,
You have a jail with a guard.
you have a jail because when you arrest people during the game, you have to put them somewhere.
What? What kind of
All right,
shenanigans is
we
that?
actually had Ed Rendell, who became mayor of Philadelphia and then governor, I think, of the state. The way he got his start was it was an Eagles Cowboys game. So the Cowboys are the big Eagles rivals. So like Cowboys week's always a big thing anyway. And this was, a particularly vicious time in the rivalry because both teams were pretty good, sort of like now. Um, so it snowed the couple days prior, and so back at like basically the top deck of Veterans Stadium. Um, Ed Rendell basically was just a defense attorney in the city at the time, and he was offering fans a couple $100 if you could hit the Cowboys coach with a snowball. Um, and somebody actually did, which is shockingly good aim from up there. Got arrested, so he defended the guy pro bono. And the defense was, basically like, well, sure, the guy did it, but it was the Cowboys head coach and he deserved it. And not only was this enough to get a not guilty verdict in the city of Philadelphia, uh, but it basically launched his political career.
Well, I do have to ask you if you're a true Flyers fan, who is the Flyer mascot?
I assume it's gritty. Is there something else that I'm supposed to know that?
Oh no, I'm just checking. I'm just checking if you knew that Gritty may be the best mascot in hockey. Is Gritty? He's a
Gritty's great.
fun-loving.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's great. If you've ever been to a Flyers game, I've seen him on TV and the things that he does to motivate the crowd and have fun with the crowd. Yeah, he looks like a very cool mascot. We
Although
had a
he's surprisingly
mascot.
tough to get. So we tried to get Gritty to do an event, and it turned out that it was not only several $1,000s, but he's booked out like 8 months in advance or something.
Really?
Yeah, like you'd think they would just get an extra costume or something, but apparently
Well,
not.
you know who our mascot is?
No, I don't.
It's
Uh,
it's the Lynx. Look at what a pair they meet. Imagine meeting those guys in a dark alley. Gritty and Oilers Hunter. That's what they call him, Hunter. Like not frightening to kids whatsoever, is it?
huh?
Charles is speechless.
Not what I think of as a mascot. Yeah.
Meet Hunter. But back in the day, there was a situation where the Oilers mascot, Oilers and Flames are a big rivalry, and the Oilers
Yep.
mascot ripped out or maybe it was the coach that did this. I can't remember, so long ago, but ripped out the tongue out of the Flames mascot, not the Flyers, out of the Flames mascot. That's how intense it got with these rivalries.
I
Have you
see.
ever have you ever been
I
to a Flyers game?
Yeah, but this was well, actually, this was when it was the appropriately named First Union Center. Uh, it's a very Philly thing, right? To have your games at the FU Center.
Yeah. Well, I got to show you the Flames mascot because it's kind of strange. Like, I mean, you got Gritty. Gritty's cool. Gritty's a guy you want to go have a beverage with. But this guy here, Harvey the
Uh,
Hound,
that
like
I feel like I've seen that at Chuck E. Cheese. Is Chuck E. Cheese a Canadian thing too, or?
There are some up here in Canada. Yeah. Yeah, that's just weird. I think it was the Edmonton Oilers coach Craig McTavish during a game against the Flames, and Harvey the Hound was kind of over the glass taunting him, and he reached up and he just pulled on the tongue and he yanked it out of the costume. It was a classic Flames Oilers moment. Ah,
I can't believe McTavish became a coach. I feel like, because wasn't he the like one of the last guys that refused to wear a helmet and stuff?
it was grandfathered, and he actually was the last player that went helmetless. Yeah, once he retired, then everyone else had a helmet.
And somehow
And
people looked at that and said, that's the kind of judgment I want in my next head coach.
he actually was a really good coach in Edmonton. He was the coach during the 2006 finals against the Carolina Heath Dog Hurricanes. So he took them to their last Stanley Cup final in 2006. I didn't mind him as a coach. He was pretty good.
I don't know. I just remember him with the helmet thing, and that just feels,
Yeah, well, I'm a little older. I remember those days with no helmets, no banners on the boards, no advertising, very simple, clean cut kind of look to the rink. But
yep.
yeah, but this is not the franchise hockey manager stream, Charles. This is the OOTP stream. But
Oh,
it's
that's
good to
that's true.
talk.
We haven't really gotten to baseball yet, have we?
But it's a good segue. It's like free advertising because we might as well bring it up. FHM Franchise Hockey Manager 10, the new edition is out, $39.99. Or you can bundle up with OOTP 24 and you can play some of these rivalries from hockey's past. And I've given out a couple copies on my hockey show, one to Boiled Egg a couple weeks ago. Last or this week, it was to Rick down by the river. So if you want a chance to win a copy of Franchise Hockey Manager, tune in Monday night for the hockey broadcast, and you too can own a copy. And Charles, also good timing because we're on our first break. We got lots to
Okay.
talk about after the break. So we're going to lead out with the trailer for Franchise Hockey Manager and give
All right.
the
We
sister.
promise after the break we'll actually talk about baseball.
Yes, we will. All right, back in 2 minutes' time.
Franchise hockey. Celebrating 10 years with our fans. Franchise Hockey Manager 10, officially licensed by the NHL. Welcome to the next generation of FHM. Play the game your way. Custom games now allow you to import real teams or entire leagues from anywhere in the world or from our historical game. And you can now set up promotion and relegation systems for your custom leagues. Gain more control with our reworked trade system, including new team needs and player shopping systems. Beware the media. Manage media relations that can affect your team's happiness and the opinions of your fans and owner. Bring more hockey history to life by traveling all the way back to 1909 and the newly playable National Hockey Association, complete with 7-man hockey. College hockey has expanded. American college teams now have to contend with the transfer portal, and the Canadian college teams are now playable. Updated for the 2023-2024 season for every NHL club, as well as international, minor, college, and junior leagues. Get to know the players better with prospect tournaments, youth tournaments, and new scouting options. And so much more. Franchise Hockey Manager 10, celebrating 10 years of hockey strategy with our fans. All on the only NHL licensed PC game. Releasing November 7th, 2023.
All right, welcome back in. So there you have it, the new franchise hockey manager 10. And I've heard a couple reports, and there are, quite a few improvements over last year. And Boiled Egg, who won a copy a couple weeks ago, says it is very addicting, just like out of the park baseball. Before you know it, hours have passed by playing franchise hockey manager. So if you want a copy, go grab it off of the website there for Steam, for PC, for Mac, or tune in next Monday night for your chance to win a copy of Franchise Hockey Manager 10. Well, Charles, are you ready to give a? All right, we are back with the start of our card report, looking at the cards released today from Baseball Reference Series 4 Awards. And again, as you saw with the little promos there, catch our newest affiliate, Cavacom. Cavacom, a fellow Canadian, streaming Sundays as he streams his playoff success, OTP 24 and 23. Catch Cavacom. He usually starts around 10 a.m. Pacific or 10 a.m. Eastern time on Sundays. And also AZ Axel. AZ Axel's back with his backyard project, streaming usually Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays at around 4 p.m. Eastern, and usually Saturdays as well, with his show Catch AZ Axel on Twitch. Well, Charles, let's start with kind of the card that a lot of people were having fun with, the Marty Marion. Now, you play a lot of caps, you play a lot of, low gold and low diamond and things like that. Marty Marion, first of all, first question, is he a go-to card now in a low gold format?
Yeah, give me 1 second, because I think I was telling you I was just switching computers and getting stuff set up here a little bit. So I don't think, let me find let me actually pull up the card to make sure I've got the correct version of it. But I think this is a good example of kind of a point that Kidneys likes to make on his streams. So the way you're looking at this card is you have a really top-notch glove defensively at shortstop, right? You've got 106 range, you've got a great arm, you've got that 116 shortstop rating. And the big problem with this card is going to be the bat, right? You're thinking about it as sort of huge glove, zero bat, right? I guess that's the way you would think about the card. And one of
Yeah,
the points Kidneys likes to make is zero bat isn't actually as low as it can go. There's sort of a replacement value that you can often think about, but you can go below that. You can have a worse bat. And if the bat's bad enough that you're losing a lot of runs hitting, that still is going to be a problem when it comes to, the total package. And I think that's going to be the problem with this card is I think just the bat is so bad that even with that excellent glove, kind of the total package doesn't really add up. Like another way you could look at it is you could compare that card with, for example, the limited edition Ozzy. And that Ozzy doesn't have a great bat, but he actually has 90i, so he's going to get on base, a fair bit of the time. And this card just kind of isn't going to do the same thing. Or another one Dish mentioned on stream was Kid Elberfeld, who had just come out as a low gold. This is a better card defensively than Elberfeld, but Elberfeld actually has 76i. He has 83 contacts, so he's going to get some hits for you. He has, 75 gap power, so you'll still get the same number of extra base hits. And so you're getting a much better bat, and in total, it just adds up to quite a bit more. So I don't think Marion's a card you're going to rush to play unless you're in a position where you can use him just as a defensive replacement. And usually that's just not enough value for a card when it's one position and you're not playing him otherwise.
yeah,
I guess the one way you could think about using a card like this, if they were to make a low gold floor in a very early era. For a lot of these early eras, like when you run, some of your dead ball drafts, you probably could get away, if we had run this same 20 card thing we just did in the bounty in a dead ball draft, it actually wouldn't have been so hard because you kind of have 6 players you could drop from your roster and maybe it works out okay. So in a situation like that, maybe I'd think about playing this card as just a defensive replacement, but I think the bat's probably going to be too much of a problem otherwise.
So Spore asks, is it worth it over Kid to save 2 points in a cap? Probably depends on the era too, but I think you're basically saying no, you'd still go with Kid.
I'd still go with Kid if I had to pick between those two, but I think I would just pick a different combination. So for example, actually what I can do is I can realize I can actually share screen. So the point is that there are a lot of different trade-offs that you can make uh, between offense and defense. And it's really the total package that you care about because you can't separate them, right? Whichever player you're playing half the inning in the field is the same player that's going to be batting the other half of the inning. So for example, there's this Asdrubal Cabrera that just came out in this tournament batch where this is an 80 overall card. I don't think shortstop is the best place to play him, but the bat is much, much, much better than Marty Marion. And my guess is in most situations, you're going to end up preferring this combination to Marion's much better glove, especially because if you're thinking about Cabrera as your backup, he also backs up second and third, and he's actually better defensively, at third in particular.
All right.
So I think I would
So
do
there
that.
you go. But a fun card. Marty Marion again. We remember him from the replays on TV constantly with the defensive stellar plays for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yeah.
80
I mean, it's
overall
tough
goal.
because this is, you're kind of the way a card like this works is to have an enormous amount of defensive value. And it's really difficult to find the balance where the defensive value is enough to carry the card, but not so much like Jeff Mathis that sort of it kills the position. You can't do anything else. It's a really tough line to find.
While you have your screen up there, do you want to go and show everyone what the new missions are? Because I see some people in the chat talking about,
Sure.
the love of the
I
missions.
think I,
What do we
let
got for the new
me,
missions?
because I think I may have just finished some of them. So which it is under awards, right? Here we go. So it looks like there are 15 individual missions, and then there's one overall mission that you get for completing all 15 of the individual missions.
Wow.
And the rewards this time are all pack rewards rather than card rewards. So some of the easier missions, you're getting these historical silver packs, all the way up to a couple of them have an individual perfect pack. A couple others have a rainbow pack. Then you're getting a historical rainbow pack if you complete all 15.
So that looks like
And
about what, 20 packs kind of total, somewhere around there?
no, actually, no more than that. Let's see, 18, about 35.
Wow. And Charles, the
About
keener
35
that he is, have
and some
completed all
high-end
of them and
cards.
submitted.
And these are mostly things that they require a mixture of new and old cards is the other thing. So for example, these Cy Young seasons, this includes a couple cards that came out recently. For example, the Mike Scott that we took in the draft, the Roger Clemens packable recently, the Jake Arrieta and Randy Johnson that were in, this new tournament batch. But this also includes some cards that have been out since close to the beginning of the game, like this tournament edition Vita Blue that was kind of a mainstay very early on in Gold. So it's kind of a mixture of the two.
Which I like. I like that. I like that some of the older cards are still being put into missions because they're not just gathering cobwebs. Are there any with immortal cards in there, or are they all non-immortal?
Let's check. Yes, it looks like just search. It looks like there are. So for example, well, as you might imagine, it's these like diamond plus gold gloves because that's the immortals are all diamond and higher. So yeah, this Joe Morgan is in there. Must be one or two others. Eric Davis. But these are also missions that have a bunch of different options. So you can see that this is a mission, for example, that I completed with under half of the available cards. And it's still a reasonably hard mission. This one's a little bit tighter, it looks like. The AL Gold Gloves. And that one, it looks like there are a bunch of the Immortals that ended up part of it. But again,
Right, so
also
that
some very early in the game. Right? We saw, this build a lineup. Eddie Murray was in there. That's been around since the beginning of the game, or something like that. Or this Alex Gordon that we got from the live missions. Carl Crawford, same thing. So it's a mixture of the two. And I think you needed a lot of points for these as well. I think you needed something like 1,000 points out of maybe 2,000 available. I don't remember exactly.
But anyway, it sounds like chat saying they're fun missions, reasonable missions. We're seeing a huge selection of cards in there, and not a ton of immortals from what you're showing there. It looks like only a couple. So achievable for a lot of people that have a lot of cards from.
I think these are all missions that you could complete without the immortals. But if you did it without all of the immortals, then probably you would need most of the tournament cards instead. It seemed if you did it without immortals and without tournament cards, then the missions would be pretty tight.
Cool. All right. Before we get to our next card, we're going to jump in and take a look at the bounty because it has fired off. Let's take a look who we're up against and whether or not they're taking the deal or no deal. So in round one, we have the Chickens going up against Evie's Baseball. The Washington Park Rangers up against the Dick Shot Dugouts. Detroiters. I just don't know who owns that team. The Detroiters going up against the Fanatics. That's going to be a gladiator battle. The Scorpions against the Who Trying to Ball Timegers. The Bowlers up against the Pub Goers. The Grizzlies are going up against the River Cats. The Pitch Clock up against the Wood Ducks. And we are taking on the Boise Tater Mashers. So let's go look. First of all, let's confirm we have no silvers in there. And Boise, if you're in the chat, Boise, you got a couple silver pitchers, but I don't know if they finished the draft because they don't have any bronze or iron. Let's go take a look at their hitters. Yeah, I don't think they finished the draft. So don't throw my win if you're in the chat. Again, we said you can't have any silver players. I don't know, Charles. You have to make a call here. You have to make a tough decision. They don't have any bronze or iron.
How many
They did
total?
not meet the
How many
qualification.
total players do they have?
9 hitters and 6. They got 15.
I think we can let them by then. It's sort of in the spirit of the thing, I guess, right?
Okay. And yeah, Spore says the same thing. They've got less players than we do. They don't have bronze or iron, so we'll let it slide. We will make an executive decision, and if they beat us, they will get the 5 packs. Don't throw my win.
We really better beat the 15-player roster. If we can't beat the 15-player roster, I think we just don't deserve to make the next round, right?
Yeah, that's not going to sit too well for us. But let's check out if we do win. Then we're going up against Andy's Pub Goers or the Candlepin Bowlers. So let's take a quick peek at both those teams to see if they qualify. So Candlepin have no silver pitchers, and the Pub Goers have no silver pitchers. Good. Hitter-wise, Candlepin have taken the deal, and the Pub Goers have also taken the deal. So they've got Paul Skeens was their perfect pick overall, and Candlepin went with Bryce Harper. They got Bob Crothers, though, which we did not get an opportunity for.
Carruthers would have been good, yeah.
Yeah. Charles, are you doing on off stream work there? Are you wheeling and dealing off stream there?
I was going to answer a question in chat. They were trying to figure out what the spotlight packs looked like this week, so I was trying to
Oh,
value them. So if anyone
okay.
is curious, right now I've got a spotlight pack as being worth around 24,000 on average.
24,000 for the spotlight pack. And if you missed it earlier, I did show it on the screen. Here it is again. Here are the cards that you can pull in a spotlight pack, including 10 perfects from 4 different sets: Paul's Picks, Future Legends 3, and the last 2 baseball reference award sets. So again, guaranteed a silver plus 25,000. So Charles is saying it's slightly below EV in terms of value. So again, have some fun. We're going to open up at least one pack a little bit later on and see what we pull.
See if
Any
we
other
can beat the
questions?
odds.
Sport says I'm jealous of that Skeens card. Well, we'll see. We'll see if
Oh,
we get.
is there a Skeens in the spotlight? Because that
No,
was
no,
a
no.
little older,
In
right?
the bounty, we might have to go up against the Skeens in the bounty.
Oh, well, you know that Skeens could have been our second catcher.
Oh, really? He has catcher
Yeah,
eligibility.
Skeens is one of the, maybe he's the only two-way future legend. I'm trying to remember, but he is able to play catcher. Here, I can pull him up. He's not a great catcher, but he's a catcher.
I've got him here. I'll pull him up on my screen here. So that was, I think, Candlepin. No, they took Harper. Was it Pub Goers? Yeah, Pub Goers. Oh yeah. He would have been the ideal pick, I think, for a perfect round.
Yeah, just the fact that he can play catcher solves a lot of problems.
So Andy lucked out getting Paul Skeens there. I wonder if he ended up with 3 catchers though. Let's see. Petway and Skeens. Not bad.
Got it just right.
And the team we're going up against, let's see if they have 2 catchers. They did. So even though they didn't get bronze or iron, they got Joe Mauer and Jason Varitek. So I mean,
look like they have no shortstop though, which may be a problem.
yeah, I've heard shortstop is an important position, but I don't know. That's just the rumors out there. All right, let's look at a couple more cards while the
Sure.
bounty is firing off again. We're not going to go through and do a we're not going to do a matrix series today with the new cards, simply because the distribution of the cards, they were, all kind of heavily weighted towards a couple positions. So we couldn't really fill out a full roster there. I think only 2 pitchers were released today. So
I will say if we got to put like 14 MVPs on our roster and still couldn't win, we that would be a problem.
Well, I don't know if anyone's going to beat that Immortal team that we had a couple weeks ago. So,
The
all right,
one
next
I
up.
was shocked by, I mean, I think this is one that like you got to take up with some of the OOTP people. Is I saw that Dave Steep that you imported. How was that not, like a 4 or 5 star player?
Oh, yeah, for the Matrix on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dave Steeb in the base game.
Because I saw you were looking for like the best season Dave Steep to import.
Yeah.
And there are some excellent like as much as we make fun, there's some excellent seasons in there that you would have thought would be, really strong profiles.
Yeah, his best season, he was a 3-star player, and that was it. And by the end of the season, Toronto sent him down to the minors. Incredible. He had 10 wins, though, while he was up with the Blue Jays as a number 4, number 5 pitcher. And then in August, they sent him to the bullpen. And then for the playoffs, he wasn't even on the roster, just like real life. So I guess it is accurate.
Yeah, I'm just surprised because there were a couple seasons in there that he was pretty high up in Cy Young voting, right?
Yeah, he does. Like, I mean, I don't know. He just and maybe Spore is right. He doesn't have a ton of black ink, league leading categories, but I think he did have When we looked at his stats on Tuesdays, when I bring up Dave Stieb Love time, he did lead the AL many times in those possible Cy Young years, and he led him in a lot of categories that didn't exist back then because they didn't track those things back then. So in hindsight, I guess he probably should have won a Cy Young at some point. But yeah, it was
Yeah.
surprising that the best Dave Stieb was just kind of a 2.5, 3-star import. All right, Cal Ripken. We have, I think, 3 Cal Ripkens now. I think we have a gold tournament Cal Ripken, maybe. We have the PTCS 100 Cal Ripken, but I know you like reverse splits. So give us your take as a low diamond if the reverse splits are going to help him play a little more in some tournaments.
Yeah, so this is kind of an instructive card because if you look at the shortstop rating on this, it says 101, right? And so you kind of look at that. I think as a third baseman, it's going to be a little bit tougher to play him because even though he would be a good defensive third baseman, there are just a lot of huge bats at third base that he's competing against. So I'd rather play, like the huge bat you get from Jose Bautista or something like that. At shortstop, what's kind of instructive here, so you see it says 101 shortstop rating. He's got 97 range, and a lot of this is coming from that 99 arm. Okay, well, I want to compare him with this Rafael Furcal. Here, I can put it up on mine, maybe. Okay, and this says 102 shortstop rating. So instinctively, you might figure these are pretty similar. But the difference is you're actually getting 103 range. The reason Furcal is, sort of similar is because of this 68 error rating. So essentially what's happening is Furcal is getting to a lot more baseballs, and then he's throwing a few of them away. And in total, that's just a much better combination for Furcal than Ripken. And so I think the glove on this card's a little bit misleading. It's still kind of, a little bit more of a bat-heavy profile where, so you could actually platoon him with Furcal if you wanted to. But this is one where, at least for tournaments, my model kind of is looking at the combination of hitting and defense on most of these cards, and I still want to run just really bat first shortstops, which feels counterintuitive to me, but that's kind of what I've been doing. Like I've been running that immortal Derek Jeter, where the glove is atrocious, but the bat's really, really good against righties. And we were talking about this on stream last week. Both Isadafo's model and mine actually take this Lip Pike, who, let's just be clear, is not a shortstop, right? You look at this 40 shortstop rating, and it's pretty well deserved. This is not a shortstop, but both of our models actually kind of want to play this card over something like Cal Ripken as well, which feels like it has to be completely wrong, but that's kind of where we've ended up. So
Be a good third baseman.
my guess is the realistic answer is play Furcal. But I'm still probably playing Jeter until I can kind of find a reason not to.
So Ripken for call, and then this card here that you brought up. Yeah, look at that bat. I mean, here's a case of does the bat overtake? Does it get you more wins because of the bat that is going to make up for the errors that he's going to make?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically one of these things where if we were talking about just playing real baseball, you would just never do this because like the shortstop's going to get murdered by his pitching staff.
Yeah.
But the thing about OOTP is in OOTP, like in PT 24, we have this P-BABIP rating, which causes a lot of balls in play to just kind of find gloves no matter what else is going on. And so what both of our models are kind of thinking is that not for league play, but for tournament play, maybe if you run pitchers with high enough P-BABIP, you can just put hitters at shortstop and it'll be okay. And so that's what we've been starting to try. I'm kind of hoping that won't quite end up. I'm hoping that won't really end up being the answer in the long term because it just doesn't feel so baseball-like to me.
Well, okay, we have the first game of the bounty coming in, and we've got some trivia coming up. We're going to play the trivia. We have our next ad break coming in about a minute here, and then we're going to get to the trivia. We'll look in on the bounty. Uh, Again, I'm just so thankful that Spore is a Steve fan as well, because finding Steve fans sometimes is hard to find, especially if you're not in Canada. And I don't know, I just it's good to see someone else sharing the Steve love. And definitely my favorite pitcher as a Blue Jay, hitter wise, is probably Lloyd Mosby. And then I have a few Expo favorites as well. But yeah, Dave Steve just uh, it's like EVC and his Fernando Valenzuela. It's the card you run with sometimes. And yeah, we have a break. Trivia coming up after the break. So stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. Get your minds all sharpened up as we'll get into some interesting trivia questions. Charles made a pretty good set this week.
We came up with a good thematic one, I think.
Yes. Back in 2 minutes time.
Oh, just to check, did you get the update?
All right, Charles, very quickly, we're going to go through and look at the perfect cards today because,
All right.
like I
Brief
said, I want
version.
to read
Willie
into
Mays,
Rich.
really good.
All right. For Sean Soul, he loves Larry Walker. He loves his Colorado Rockies. Just upped his subscription today, 9 months on the channel. Thank you, Sean. So let's start off with the Colorado Rocky, the inferior to the Expo Rocky, Larry Walker. Comparables.
Well, the defense is really good. The problem that you've got starting out is so I think this card's going to be expensive at the outset because all these new cards are going to be. And so we're comparing him probably with the Immortals that are going to be similarly expensive. So right now, a lot of people are going to be running, Al Kaline, Hank Aaron type cards. So I've got Walker. If you're going to platoon him, then versus righties, I do have him ahead of Kaline. But versus lefties, he's going to be quite a ways behind. So I guess the decision you're going to have is, do you want to run him for the combination of defense and kind of playing him one way? Or would you rather just kind of be running your big outfielders both ways? I guess that's the decision.
All right. So yeah, and that's a choice you can make. So if you were to platoon him, who is his best platoon partner? Kaline?
Probably then Kaline, and then you could maybe run Aaron in a combination of left and center, because Kaline, you could try train him up in center. There's also a Ken Griffey Jr. tournament card now in center. But then there's the Willie Mays we're about to talk about. And I think that's what's going to make it difficult for this card. Because if you put Willie Mays in center, now the outfield starts to get really crowded. Actually, Zadafo is saying he'd think about playing this card at DH. That's interesting. If the card still worked properly, I'd still rather run Ted.
Okay. Walker Clemente too restrictive, Spore is asking.
I think the problem is that Clemente is probably just going to be strictly worse than Kaline. So when you're out of places to play people, then I think Clemente gets squeezed out first.
All right. Okay. And is it awful? You pulled two Willie Mays. Has anyone pulled a Larry Walker today? Anyone in chat here come across a Larry Walker in a regular pack, a spotlight pack?
I'll see if there's so Larry Walker. If you want Larry Walker, you can actually get him reasonably cheaply for a new card right now. I see there's a sell order for 171,000.
Oh, wow.
Buy order for 125. So this is a pretty buyable card if you want one.
There you go. And that amazes me, just coming out and it's under 200,000 for a card that would be a great DH or a platoon right fielder. Okay. We got to move along here. Mickey Cochran. We'll save the in-depth analysis for your show tomorrow. Mickey
All right,
Cochran.
sure. So Cochrane, let me just pull up again, sort of the same thing. So I think again, Cochrane a lot better versus righties. So maybe the card we're comparing him with is somebody like Yogi. I still think I end up just preferring to run Yogi. And my guess is my model is going to be one of the ones that likes Cochrane the most because the big advantage he has over Yogi is the eye. So I'm guessing if my model still prefers Yogi, I'm guessing other people's models are going to prefer Yogi by a lot.
Would be a Pudge Cochran then combination, or
Yeah, I think it would be Pudge Cochrane, but that's where I think Pudge Yogi might make more sense. Plus, a lot of people already got Yogi as part of collecting the Immortals, and so you know that's interesting. Okay, is it Afo actually likes Cochrane more than Yogi? Okay, that'll be an interesting discussion tomorrow then. Because I would have guessed that the combination of the low I for Yogi and the high avoid K would have meant that my model would like Cochrane more relative to Yogi.
okay. I'm just going to exit the chat here one more time because it looks like I'm breaking up. So we'll try one more poll start here on the program. So talk about the pitcher that we got as a perfect today and the comparables, Mr. Justin Verlander.
So Verlander's interesting because he's in. So first off, he's in a range where he's already at least kind of playable. I think I have him somewhere around 10th or so overall out of arms. So that means that it's a card that should be somewhere in the mix, especially because not all of the top 10 are really accessible. So for example, if you have the PTMS Pedro, you're of course playing it over Verlander, but only two people have that card. So of the cards that are really widely available, probably somewhere between 5th and 10th, and a card that you're going to be interested in. But the thing that I like the most about the card is he does have a unique shape. So of kind of the top cards, pitching, this is the card where you have the least home run prevention. And that's the thing that's holding him back right now. But the trade-off is when you have a card where the flaws are unique, this is something you can build a park around as well. So I think Verlander's a card where in the right kind of park, then he potentially moves way up relative to the pitchers around him. And similarly, in the wrong kind of park, you could probably make him unplayable. So it's one that if you're in the right park, you definitely want. Oh, I see. Trillian's asking, what's the right kind of park? Well, so if you look at what the card does well and what this card does poorly, this is a card which the flaw is going to be that he gives up a lot more home runs than top pitchers. And the advantage is he strikes out a lot more hitters than top pitchers. So a park where balls in play are very likely to turn into hits, but it's very difficult to hit a home run, feels like it would be a really good fit for Verlander. And then also kind of even the slight reverse splits in some things are nice. So like an example of a park that would work for that, if you just I can pull up some ballparks, but we'd be looking for something with high BABIP and low home runs. So like CHS, if you're looking for something neutral, or let me just pull up some of these other modifiers. The KC Municipal Stadium maybe is another that's kind of home run suppressing, but helping out BABIP. So a few things like that. Whereas if you're in the opposite, if you're in kind of a home run heavy park, then you could probably construct a park where you just don't want to run this card at all as well. Like a BABIP suppressing but home run big, heavy park, or like the Sportsman's Park that the Browns have, or something like that. I think this would be difficult to run. Hold on, Lap, you may be muted.
Can you give us another comparable picture for that ballpark? So if you're building a rotation, for a park for Verlander, who else would fit with it?
That's a good question. It's a little, yeah, 'cause it's a little bit of a unique profile. So let me just quickly check who else we've got that's kind of in the same regime. Um, there's not a lot that's so close. I mean, maybe the kinds of cards that feel a little bit comparable. There's the Immortal Sandy Koufax, which is similar, except this card just has more control, so it's strictly better. There's also the packable Roger Clemens that came out recently, where again, this card is the same thing, but with more control, and the splits are better, so it's quite a bit better. Um, so I think that's the kind of card that you'd be thinking about. Uh, but yeah, it's a little bit unique shape, and I think that's part of what makes this interesting, is because when you get cards with unique shapes in tournaments, it's maybe not so helpful to have a card with a unique shape because there's not so much you can do to construct around like different parks. But in League, you get to run a park, so you really can say, okay, here are my strong cards. This is what's unique about them. Let's run something that helps that and hurts everything else.
So then you look for the same for the hitters. You want hitters with high BABIP, low home runs.
Yeah, this is the kind of park that some of these low power, really big contact hitters, would now thrive in,
Like Tony
like
Gwynn.
Like a Dylan Cruz type or something.
Okay. All right. One more to go through. We got to get your 3-minute take on this. Again, you can tune in for a more in-depth
All right.
discussion on the cards
I think the
tomorrow when
3-minute
Charles.
take on Willie Mays is basically this is the best center fielder. If you can get him, you want to run him. If you don't know how to get him, you should ask Izadafo how to rip packs.
So head and tails, a huge gap between the next best center fielder, or
I think so, yeah. And especially because probably the second best center fielder, let's say I'm thinking about it from a tournament point of view, probably the second best center fielder would be Hank Aaron, but you're still going to play Hank Aaron somewhere else if you don't have to play him in center. Um, maybe the big thing about this Willie Mays is there was a tournament card that came out. So if we looked at this last tournament batch, there were kind of two interesting perfects. There was Arrieta, who was kind of interesting, but maybe will drop out pretty quickly. And then there was a Ken Griffey, Ken Griffey Jr., which also looked like a really interesting hitter. I think this card probably just completely kills Griffey.
okay.
So if you were
Uh,
thinking about like what to pull out of a choice pack and you were thinking, should I pull Griffey or should I pull Arrieta? If you're able to get your hands on a Willie Mays, then I think you don't need Griffey anymore.
So take the Arietta if you're given that choice. All right. So it sounds like all 4 perfects from today's set are usable in some format, in some ballpark, in some way, shape, or form. They are up there with the meta.
Yeah, and there's actually one more that I want to mention,
Okay.
which is the other card that I think you can put in even league builds in the right park is the 99 overall Spud Chandler. We've had a handful of these really good diamond cards come out, like the Oral Hershiser a few weeks ago or the tournament Jose Fernandez. And I think this is another one like the cards we just talked about, because this isn't like a top 5 everywhere kind of pitcher. This isn't one that you must play, but I do think this is one that you can play in the right ballpark. This would sort of be the opposite ballpark, right? This card doesn't strike a lot of batters out. He lets a lot of balls in play, but he suppresses home runs really well. So it would be the opposite kind of ballpark for what you want Verlander in.
And obviously, if he was 100, whole new story, right? Then he wouldn't be in the talk at all.
As 100, he'd be kind of maybe a specialty piece on release, but very quickly not even that, and sort of forgotten. But as a 99, this is also going to be really interesting in diamond tournaments.
Charles, you have a fan here. Charles, look at that. Look at that.
It's the Took. We decided this is a Took, right? Even without the.
And Charles let me eat jelly beans, by the way, Dr. Dynastic, just so you know. All right, Charles, there were 4 cards that weren't mentioned on stream. I don't know if you had a chance to look at them, if there's any that jump out at you of those 4 cards. If not, that's fine. But they were Bob Elliott, Ken Boyer, Bob O'Farrell, and Chris Bryant. Any of those you kind of want to
I
talk
don't
about?
think I looked at them much. What are the overalls? I can check quickly, but
I don't know what
I,
the
I,
overall.
I I can
Actually,
I can pull it up.
we'll wait for tomorrow because we have to rate into out of the park developments in like 4 minutes. They're just about
Okay,
getting
yeah,
started
then
here.
all right, then let's
Leave those for tomorrow. Uh, bounty tournament. The bounty tournament is done. Congratulations, Andy. You took us out in the 5th game. So you get to take on the stacked team that still has their silvers. Chicken Wolf was the MVP of round 2 for you. So, Andy from Sheffield, congratulations. We made it further than we usually do, round 2. So, those are the 4 teams left. You are now playing for in-game packs. If you want to unlock your silvers, go ahead, feel free, because you're just
especially
playing
against
for the
that pitch clock team that has silvers. Yeah.
yes, who are just walking through. All right, how about we open 1 spotlight pack each, Charles? Just see if we can pull one of those big cards. Load
All
up your
right.
game there, and we
Let's
won't
do
do
it.
the 9 innings. We'll just open 1 spotlight each.
All right. We'll just call it extra innings, right?
Yeah, we'll call it extra inning. See who has the best card.
All right. Got myself a spotlight
Spotlight
pack.
number 28. You get to go first.
All right. Well, I'll do the usual thing. You open one bad one first and get it out of the way, and then you do the spotlight, right?
Sure.
One bad one. That was a bad one. All right. We got all the cards we don't want. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Hold on. I forgot to
And we
tell
will
it.
be rating over. You don't have to touch that dial. We're going to go straight to out of the park developments in 2 minutes time so that we don't
All
miss
right.
the interview with Josh Young. So stay tuned. We're each going to open a pack and
All
then we're
right.
out of
Do we
here.
have a Willie Mays? It is. That doesn't look like a Willie Mays, does it?
It is a gold.
It's a gold. I don't think Willie Mays is a gold. It is Bobby Higginson, worth a quick sell.
All
All right.
right.
I think you're gonna win this one. I hope you're gonna
Okay.
win
So
this one.
let's go check this out. I think I'm on the screen here. Let's open my regular pack first of all. There we go. Got a Yankee. It's a bad pack. We got a Yankee. And our spotlight pack will be hoping for at least a diamond today. Let's get some of that Isadafo spotlight pull.
Come on.
27.
Let's see a Willie Mays.
Come
No, actually,
on,
let's see
Larry
a Larry
Walker.
Walker. I want to see a Larry Walker.
Oh, all right. I did officially win because I have at least a diamond. Is this the card? Bob Farrell.
Bob Farrell. All right.
That's one of the new cards today that wasn't shown on screen. Bob Farrell.
Yeah, we had a couple catchers. We didn't have the catcher I picked in EDC's thing. I was going for a Buster Posey.
And we've got Brandon
That's
Moore.
not a new one, right?
No,
That's been
that's
around a
not a new
while.
one. Bob Farrell going for about 7,000 perfect points now. So I will take the victory this week, Charles, as we got through. We were unsure if we'd get through in time, but we squeezed it all in. Charles, thank you for putting on your flyer toque. Go Flyers, go Oilers. We'll catch you guys on Saturday for the Gladiator Report. We're going to go right over to Rich now. Have a wonderful day. We're here for a good time,
Thanks for
not a long
having me.
time. So have a good time. The sun
Yeah.
can't shine every day. Thanks, Charles.
Said we're here for a good time, for a good time. Oh, not a long time, not a long time. So have a good time.